All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to get our hands dirty and tackle a job that looks pretty scary to most DIY mechanics, swapping a fuel injector on a modern diesel engine. But, as we're about to see, this engine has a few, let's call them clever quirks, that actually make it way more doable than you think. I mean, you've probably thought this yourself, right? The minute you hear modern diesel, you think of complex electronics, special tools. It just feels like a no-go zone for anyone working in their own garage. But is that really true? Is it always that complicated? So, meet our test subject for today. It's this pretty unassuming Opel Combo. And yeah, on the outside, it looks like any other modern diesel van. But what's under the hood? Well, it's hiding a couple of key secrets that totally change the game and make this job way, way more manageable. Okay, so here's the first hurdle, and it's probably not what you're thinking. We're not talking about some crazy sensor or a complicated computer issue. Nope. It's actually a really simple, kind of unique piece of metal that physically ties two of the injectors together. And that little guy is called an injector bridge. It's basically just a bracket, right? It clamps two injectors down. But that one single detail, it completely changes how you have to approach taking them out. And the difference this makes is, well, it's huge. See, in a normal engine, you just pop out the one bad injector and call it a day. But here, with this bridge system, if one goes bad, its partner has to come out right along with it. They're basically a package deal. You have no choice but to work on them as a pair. But okay, just as you're wrapping your head around that little mechanical quirk, this engine throws you a bone. And it's a huge one. A shortcut that honestly makes this whole job totally worth tackling. And it all comes down to this number right here. This is the magic number. This is what takes this job from being a potential nightmare to being something you can absolutely do in your own garage. 0. That's right. 0 electronic coding. On so many modern diesels, you swap an injector and then you have to plug in a special computer to tell the engine's brain, the ECU, that you did it. But not on this one. No expensive tools, no trip to the dealer. You just swap the part, and that's it. For a DIYer, man, that is a massive, massive win. Okay, so knowing we get to skip all that computer stuff, how does the actual mechanical job go down? Well, it's actually pretty straightforward, as long as you just keep one thing in mind. You're always, always working with the pair. Really, the whole process just makes sense. First up, you get the fuel lines and electrical connectors out of the way. Then you loosen up that bridge that's holding the two injectors down. Now the key part is right here. You have to gently wiggle and pull out both injectors together as one piece. And putting it all back? It's just doing those steps in reverse. Just make sure that new pair is seated nice and snug before you tighten everything back down. All right, now this is where theory meets the real world. Just because you bought a brand new part doesn't mean it's perfect. You have to inspect everything. And in this case, taking that extra minute or two really, really paid off. So you get the brand new replacement injector out of its box. It looks great, all clean and shiny. It looks like it's ready to go straight into the engine, or is it? But when you look a little closer, a couple of small things pop up, and they're actually critical. So let me ask you, what are a couple of things you'd look for on a new injector before you even think about installing it? And here they are. First off, the new part was missing its little copper seal, that crush washer at the tip. And that little thing is absolutely essential. Without it, you'd have super hot gases just blasting right past the injector. A huge problem. Second, there was just a tiny bit of play inside the injector itself. So a special seating product was used to make sure it sat in there perfectly and had a rock-solid hold. See? A couple of simple checks that prevent a world of hurt later on. Okay, so the new injectors are in, everything's torqued down, job's done, right? Time to start it up? Nope. If you turn that key right now, you're going to get nothing. There's one more absolutely critical step you cannot skip. Yeah, this quote right here just nails it. The moment you opened up those fuel lines, you let the system's #1 enemy inside. And that enemy is air. If you forget about that air, I guarantee you that engine will not start. So what's the fix? You absolutely have to reprime the fuel circuit. See, when you open everything up, air got in. And here's the problem. Fuel doesn't compress, but air does. So that bubble of air just sits in the line, and when the pump tries to push fuel, the air just squishes and expands. It creates an airlock, and no fuel gets to the engine. You've got to get that air out, or you could crank the engine till the battery dies, and it will never, ever fire up. So after going through all that, let's get back to the big question we asked at the very beginning. Is this job actually doable for a DIY mechanic? The final verdict? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Once you know about the little injector bridge, it's just a simple thing to work around. And the fact that there's no computer coding involved, that makes this specific job on this specific engine a fantastic gateway into working on modern diesels. It's a great confidence builder.
So, there you have it. A job that looks from the outside like it's expert only really just breaks down into a bunch of manageable steps. It just goes to show you, with the right bit of knowledge, you can demystify even these complex modern engines. So that leaves just one question. What so-called expert job are you going to learn how to tackle next?